Good afternoon. I would like everyone to this fantastic meeting at the Greater New York Dental Meeting. Today's presentation is on the topic of vaping, CBD, medical marijuana, and scientific truth and community solutions presented by Dr. Bernardfialkoff. My name is Dr. Sean Shakib, and I'm the current president of the New York State Academy of General Dentistry, and I will be presiding the chair for today's presentation, along with Ms. Paula Bostic, our executive director at New York State AGD, and Dr. Binod Verma. Today's presentation includes 3 credit hours of continuing education. I would like to acknowledge some of our colleagues and dignitaries whose names were provided to me by Dr. Fialkoff, who supported this presentation. Dr. Binod Verma, the past president of the New York State AGD and Nassau County Dental Society. Actually, Dr. Verma was very instrumental in introducing Dr. Fialkoff. We had the honor and privilege of listening to his presentation at the New York State Academy of General Dentistry. His presentation was so moving that we decided to collaborate with him and with the subject that is so sensitive and so important. And I personally learned so much from his presentation. It was like kind of awakening call. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Terry Scalio, the Dental Education Chair and immediate past president, Ms. Paula Bostic, as I said, the executive director, Dr. Robert Edwab, the executive director at the Greater New York Dental Meeting, Dr. Ira Titunic, the International College Dentist President-elect, Dr. Laura Medrana, the International College Dentist New York Regent, Dr. Chad Kahani, the ADA past president, also Mr. Avery Sandiford, the educational director at the Greater New York Dental Meeting. So why we are here? We are here because the nationwide emergencies of vaping, CBD, and recreational drugs have many, many dental ramifications. Drugs have caused an alarming death, estimated about 100,000 in 2021. Accordingly, the related intraoral disease have multiplied. As a result, proper patient management, surgical and pain control issues have further surfaced. That is why we must understand and appreciate the role of dental practitioners, the implications of vaping, CBD in our dental practices. We need to educate our colleagues, patients, staffs, families, and friends. We need to train and create educators at the local, state, national, and global platforms. We need to use and expand every resources that we have. That is why this individual, special individual, my dear colleague and speaker, Dr. Bernardfialkoff, is trying to create and initiate. That is exactly what he's trying to do. Who is Dr. Fialkoff? Class valedictorian at Stony Brook Dental, Alpha Omega Award recipients, periodontal and dental implant postgraduate certificate at Memphis Veterinary Administration Hospital, University of Tennessee, private practice in New York City delivering periodontics, dental implantology, laser therapy, dental cosmetic plastic surgery over the past 40 years. He's also a founder of Implant Certainty Training Program and Dental Study Clubs, member of New York State Dental Association Chemical Dependency Committee, and fellow of International College of Dentists, fellow of Pierre Fouchard Honorary Society, International Freedom Medal honor for establishing drug education in 5 countries. Talking about global initiatives. It's remarkable. Honorary member of U.S. High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Program, funding sponsor and president of Foundation for a Drug-Free World of America's Chapter Education Program. Dr. Fialkoff had conducted more than 2,200 training workshops, educating more than 100,000 persons. Every one of us could follow his path and become an educator. That is the purpose of today's presentation. The program has achieved a 19% reduction in teenage drug usage in New York City in 2016. He has also trained more than 5,000 NYPD school safety officers on illicit drugs and synthetic drugs. Keynote speakers at United Nations on drugs and at interfaith drug education seminars at Brooklyn Borough Hall with President Eric Adams. Featured lecturer at the Greater New York Dental Meeting 2014 through 2019. This is my true honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Bernardfialkoff.
Thank you, Sean. So we'll let the people come walking in. And first of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you all. And at this time of the year, it's a beautiful time of the year. And we're here to speak about something that's so important. If you really look at it, our children and our grandchildren, the families. When we look at our society, we look at our world, and we want to know why the world is the way it is, we don't have to look any further. I want to thank, first of all, because it's something that's missing in our world, I want to thank the Greater New York Dental Meeting and all its board for actually making this possible. And I want to thank Dr. Shakib of the Academy of General Dentistry for helping to promote this and for giving the accreditation and for doing it free of charge because the AGD knows the importance of what we're doing. I want to thank the ICD, the International College of Dentists, Dr. Tatunik, the president-elect, Laura Modrano, the regent, because they organized this room. And like the AGD, they also did this free of charge. So they need to be validated because in this world, we've lost sight of what's important and too much is just money. And so I want to validate these groups because they really care about us, and so they need to be recognized. Now, families. Before I start talking to you and giving you scientific facts, we have to see why we're even here. Why should you spend your time here? You could be learning how to do veneers. You could be learning how to do implants. Get some material very inexpensively because it's a deal at the Greater New York Dental Meeting. And I'm also a dentist. I'm a 40-year periodontal surgeon. And, I also don't like to spend more than I need to. But I've realized one thing. If I don't spend on my family, if I don't spend on my kids, why am I bothering to do anything? And when we want to look and solve our world, how can we solve our world if our families and our mothers of these children, whether the mothers of civilization, are not important? So we need to look at that. So my talk today won't be a philosophy, but I want to start with the importance of it because we're going to deal with scientific facts. Everything I'm going to give you comes either from the NIH, the National Institute of Health, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, the Journal of the American Medical Association, the New England Journal of Medicine, and other scientific journals. Let's begin. Very important first, we'll start out with the American Dental Association and an article that's very recent about marijuana in our country. And basically, that more than half of the dentists in the United States were finding that the patients that they were treating were arriving high on marijuana. I want you to really think of 52% arriving in a dental office high on marijuana. And at the same time, we basically have seen legalization of marijuana. So now it exists in 21 states. Recreational marijuana approved in 21 states. Medical marijuana actually in 39 states. The slide is a little bit old because we just had a recent election. So the ADA Council on Research, as of 2021, basically said that there's a growing need for us to have guidance as practitioners on marijuana. and Dr. Mascarenas, who's the chair of the ADA Council of Scientific Affairs, stated that the oral health effects with smoking marijuana include periodontal disease, xerostomia, which is dry mouth, and leukoplakia, which is a precursor to possible cancer. And the development of best practices for the management of those under the influence of marijuana was going to be very important. Now, I want to give you a fact in case you've been lost as to what the stance of the ADA is regarding marijuana. So CBD, medical marijuana, and recreational marijuana products do not carry the ADA seal of approval. Let's take a look at an oath that we all have, something called the Hippocratic Oath. And the Hippocratic Oath, which is ancient and is behind what we do as doctors when we help people, is that we will enter the houses of the sick and I will abstain from wrongdoing and harm. I will practice two things when I deal with patients. One is either help them, or two, at least not harm them. So what are best practices that the ADA was talking about? Best practices are professional procedures that are accepted as being correct or most effective. So we have Hippocrates with his oath, and we have the ADA telling us that as practitioners, we're very important. And as Dr. Shakib stated appropriately, in our country, we lost 106,000 Americans last year. In the entire 10-year Vietnam War, we lost 58,000 Americans. 10 years. In 1 year in America, we almost doubled the amount of deaths. And what do you hear about it? Exactly, the quiet that I just gave you. And you say, how is that possible? And that's the importance of you here in this room. That's the importance of the Greater New York Dental Meeting and their stance to help people. That's the importance of this Harlem Globetrotter who played with Meadowlark Lemon, Curly Neal, went around the world. I'll get more. Let's go. You can stand up. Let's give a round of applause. Who came here, not because he doesn't have something better to do, because he's been here for 4 days. He came here because, like you, he cares about what's going on with his kids, his grandkids, his friends' kids, right? So, what is our role? I think it's obvious. We don't have to beat a dead horse. We can't have this continue. Now, let's give some more facts. COVID killed about 385,000 Americans. Smoking kills 480,000 Americans. Why is there not a smoking pandemic? Why is nothing said about it? These are facts from the CDC. Electronic cigarettes or vaping rose as a solution for smoking. But what happened? Unfortunately, because of the marketing, they became complex rigs and devices and small, very attractive vapes. I won't name any companies. I know some names came to immediately, but I don't want to beat anyone. I'm here to help. And what happened? Teenage drug usage of vaping. I call it drug usage, so let me just keep it mild for a second. Teenage vaping rose about 80% in 2 years. The American Dental Association itself urged Congress to regulate vaping devices. I want you to get the level of this. It's not my opinion or that it's your opinion. The American Dental Association cares. You know, and we have a decrease in membership. So let me address something immediately. I'll tell you why we have a decrease in membership, but not just in the ADA, but in all the organizations across the world. And I'll tell you why. Guess what a side effect of drug use is? A side effect of drug use is irresponsibility. When somebody's taking drugs, they're getting high. They're not working. Somebody who's not working makes you work harder. When you work harder, you're paying for them. So there's your answer. And so that's why the ADA stance is so important, and we're all very important. And let's take a look at what the American Lung Association president said. This is Dr. Wimmer. He said, lack of action by the FDA and the federal government about e-cigarettes resulted in skyrocketing vaping. What does that mean? Statistics. 1 in 4 high school students vape. 1 in 3 high school students use at least one tobacco product. But you say, how can that be? Because 480,000 Americans died more than COVID. Why is that not a priority? Interesting question. I'm going to give you things to think about. Something very nice, and I want to laud the government. You know, politicians many times get beat. Just like, you know, as a father, sometimes you take a lot of heat. Sometimes as a mother, you have to do things and tell your daughter, no, you're not going to that dance because I don't think you'll be safe there, right? And, you know, I know you've done that as mothers. Sometimes we have to take heat. But part of being a leader is taking heat because we have to set the society going in the right direction. So I want to compliment the House of Representatives of our country. They passed Bill H.R. 2339, protecting American lungs and reversing the Youth Tobacco Epidemic Act of 2020. They saw they made a mistake and they reversed it. And why did they reverse it? Because you, the doctors, got them to see. You, the doctors, and you doctors watching this video, and the politicians, they have families. They're good people. And they decided to pass that bill. Let's talk about why vaping is a problem. Because, you know, I have friends of mine, family members who vaped, and they said, oh, come on, Dad, come on, uncle, come on, cousin. You know, I'm just like you. I just happen to be up here. And let's talk about first just the media, the liquid in the vape, right? We're going to just talk about vaping smoke. We're not going to put any marijuana. We're not even going to put any nicotine. And we're dentists, so let's talk about dentistry. We'll just talk about the mouth. Just about our kids' mouths. Propylene glycol is one of the liquids that carry the solutions. For those of you who don't know, propylene glycol is antifreeze. When you put that green liquid in your car, that's propylene glycol. What you don't realize is propylene glycol is one of the liquid media in vaping. And you may say, well, okay, but it must be okay because it's in the vapes. Well, if you take too much propylene glycol, you get sick, you can die. In fact, the dog who actually drinks out of a bowl that maybe mistakenly you left out because you drained the fluid from your car, you work on your own car, right? That dog will die, and this has happened. That's the propylene glycol. The other media is vegetable glycerin. Now, what is the problem with both of these is they cause xerostomia, they cause plaque adhesion, which we all know as dentists leads to periodontal disease and dental caries. And there in the slide, you see the effect of vaping. Those aren't my opinions, those are facts. Now, what's happened across our country is a disease called popcorn lung started to spread out. And popcorn lung started to become prevalent. Why is it called popcorn lung? Because when people vape, their lungs become like popcorn. I mean, popcorn is tasty. I got to tell you, I love popcorn. I don't know about you. I love popcorn. But I don't want to have popcorn in my lungs. I somehow don't have to be a doctor to understand I won't be able to breathe. Unfortunately, many youth have ended up in the hospital with popcorn lung all across the country. And some of them died. One here on Long Island was a dancer. She didn't die, and she started a group. And she's been educating all across Long Island on the danger of vaping to her peers in high school and in college. Now, popcorn lung was called that because it was discovered that the workers in the factories that made butter-flavored popcorn, when we used to get videos at Blockbuster, right? I'm showing my age. I used to go to Blockbuster like Sean and get videos. And what did I pick up? What did you pick up at Blockbuster video? Butter-flavored popcorn. Now, the factory workers in those factories were breathing the ambient air, and they developed popcorn lung. But that was breathing the air. Now we're going to take a device that's going to heat the solution and put it directly in our lungs. Right? You get the magnitude. And you say, well, how could they have done that? How could the manufacturers have put this diacetyl in the vape? That's my kid. That's my grandkid. That's my friend's kids. But they did that. And I'll tell you why they did that. Because we were sleeping. I'm going to be critical of us now. You may get mad at me. We were asleep at the wheel. We let the insurance tell us what to do. We let the government tell us what to do. Who are the doctors in this room? Raise your hand. Oh, that's horrible. I'm a Cuban guy. I wanted more. Who are the doctors in this room? Raise your hand. Say something. For the people who are watching this video, we're gonna have to get them excited. Who are the doctors in the room? Say, yeah. Yes. That was better. I'll accept that. I'm a Cuban guy. Cuban guys are serious about what they do. I'm also a Jewish guy, and my mother would kill me, my mother Raquel, if I didn't do the right thing, she would let me have it. So for my mother Raquel and my father Ruben, who was a physician in Cuba, Cuban physicians are community physicians. Ruben, I want to acknowledge my father Ruben, who I love, who I'm going to get a little emotional now, so I better not talk any further. And he cared about people. And I know you guys care about people. Now, I'll tell you why sometimes you see patients and there's no emotion when you tell them things. You know why? Because they're on drugs. And drugs cause a numb feeling. Drugs cause unconsciousness. But they don't have to go fall on your floor. You tell them you have periodontal disease. You're going to lose all your teeth. Well, doc, what does my insurance cover? I don't think your plan covers it. Oh, okay, doc, I have to go home and think about it. They're going to lose all their teeth. They're going to end up edentulous, but they have no reaction. You may be wondering, maybe you have to take another sales course. No! We have to save our people, get them to stop using drugs. Now, so let's talk about the flavorings. The flavorings themselves, the diacetyl causes popcorn lung. Now, ethyl maltol is an artificial sweetener, cotton candy. Ethyl maltol aids the transport of heavy metals. And you're probably saying, well, what does heavy metals have to do with it, Ben? Well, I'll tell you what it has to do with. The heating element in the vapes are made out of what? Metal. They're not regulated. It comes from China, where the regulations on metal are very low. So the metal in the heating elements have nickel, tin, lead, and you ready for this one? Arsenic. Yes, this is not, look it up online. I told you, all this is scientific. This is not welcome. And, that's what's in the heating element. Now we're going to put a flavoring that's going to actually expedite the transport of these toxic metals where? Into the lungs. Good. Now we're waking up. I love it. This is what we want to do. I don't want to just talk at you. Let's be interactive, right? The world has had too many drugs, and we've become wooden. We got to be more like the globetrotter over here. Bobby, say something.
Hey!
That's what we got to do. Who liked the globetrotters when they were little?
All right.
Okay. All right. We got to have some fun in the middle because I'm hitting you very hard with a lot of facts. You probably say, whoa, I didn't realize this, Dr. Fialkoff. And my wife always tells me, you talk too much. I don't know how I'm going to get all. Is that true?
No.
Oh, never. So I'm going to introduce some humor because I don't know how I'm going to cover everything I promise you if I don't talk. So I'll try to talk concisely like a surgeon. Thank you for coming. You're going to enjoy it. Now, so that's the heating element. The heating element has toxic chemicals. The flavorings are toxic. And if that wasn't enough, then you have pulagan, which is peppermint and spearmint, and that was also causing cancer. Now, we haven't even talked about nicotine yet, have we? So when one of your friends or one of your family members tell you, well, I'm only vaping the flavorings, you say, oh, but hold on a second. I just saw this crazy Cuban guy, and he threatened me for my ounce of my life if I didn't do something. So I better talk to you. You better find out what's in the flavoring. Now, let's get the nicotine. So we got 3, now we're going to add 4. Now realize we haven't even gotten to marijuana yet. Okay, now nicotine. Oh, but nicotine is okay. No, nicotine is not okay. Nicotine causes 480,000 deaths in America per year, more than COVID did the last 2 years. 380 is not 480. So nicotine is killing people. But nicotine is also doing other things besides killing people. Let's talk about it. Nicotine harms the developing adolescent brain. And what did I say to you? That 80% increased vaping, right? Teenagers. So what's happening to our youth? They're losing their intellect. If you're wondering why things are happening in our society, they're insane. I won't mention any because, you know, I could get in trouble. I'm a smart guy. You know, I was a valedictorian. I keep quiet at times. I'm not going to say anything. You said it. It's in your head. I see it already. I didn't say anything. It's okay. Nicotine is harmful. It causes effect on the reproductive organs. And again, who's vaping? You have grandchildren? This guy who walked in? Good, they're vaping. You're not going to have great-grandchildren because it affects the reproductive organs. It affects the lungs. They get addicted. It goes to the brain. Guess what it does in the brain? The nicotine goes to the dopamine receptor. Dopamine receptors are natural. It's natural for you to get high. Like when I saw my wife, here, I have to say something. I have to have her come up. She hates to do this, but she helps me to do this. And Benoit knows this. She said, your wife is unbelievable. She lets you go out all kinds of hours, and it's unbelievable. So she doesn't want to do this. She's going to kill me, but she's here. This is Maria. She's my wife. She's going to have to stand up because I'm putting her on the spot. I may not be alive at the end of that. Stand up. Come on. Okay, yeah, that's right. You know, and the reason a great woman is always there is why? Because when the guy has his head on straight, the only thing he's looking at is what should be get done, right? Very, very. I also like to do counseling once in a while, so you know, help to rectify the world. Women are very important. Without women, would we have a planet? You can clap. Go ahead. You can clap. Very good. Now, so nicotine goes to the brain, your dopamine receptor. So it makes you feel good. But the body, and you all know your doctors, adapts. So what happens? The body stops working on its own. It's waiting for you to give it nicotine. So what does this mean? That when you stop vaping, now, even though you do something really good, like you went dancing with your girlfriend, you're sad, or you're annoyed, or you get angry with her. Why? Because you don't have any dopamine. Why don't you have any dopamine? Because you're not vaping right at that moment. So the body has gotten lazy. The body gets lazy. I'm making it simple to understand. When it gets lazy, you don't get dopamine. Imagine now. Now you have to vape. So now you have to vape more. But what are you vaping? You're vaping something that's going to destroy your lung. You're vaping something that's going to give you cancer. You're vaping something that's totally going to affect your health. But you're addicted to this. We haven't even spoken about marijuana. Marijuana is good because it'll put you to sleep, so you'll feel good while you're dying. It's good. It's a good thing. God, I'm glad I'm getting through. You guys are really important, but you got to talk. You got to promise me something when you leave. Yeah, come on in. It's very important. When you leave this room, you got to speak to other people. Will you do that? Yes. Thank you. Okay, very good. Now, remember, these are scientific facts. This is not my opinion. Now.
But I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Do you think out of these people, or including me, when we get out of here, who's going to work on it? Once or twice? It has to be done in like a community or forum, like a thing where doctors should start doing.
Yes. What's your name?
I'm Dr. Safna.
Where are you from?
I'm from India.
India, good. Dr. Safram is doing something excellent. In the rest of the presentation, we're going to talk to you. Here, come on up here. Don't say that. We're going to talk to you. Here, come. We're going to talk to you about what we're doing. what this Jewish guy and this African guy, right? We're not supposed to like each other, right? We're supposed to be fighting up here. Look. I'm too small. He'll kill me. But I want to handle the whole everything. You're right. Watch what we're doing. So we're going to make a group, and you guys will be able to have drug-free world with the Harlem Globetrotters in India. Would you like that?
Yes, but I'm now based in New Jersey. But yes, I can get it, word spread it to India or even the Canada, wherever possible. Because I feel people get busy in their normal routines, and after the conference, nobody is going to remember.
Good. Dr. Verma, come on up here. You should be up here anyway. You're part of the board. Come on up here. Come on up here. Dr. Verma, come on up here. Come on up here, Dr. Verma. We're good. Bring a chair with you. And Dr. Shakib, you're not supposed to be in the audience. Come on up here. Grab a chair. I'm serious. Come on up here.
Dr. Verma is from...
Dr. Verma was past president of the Academy or General... Come on up here, Dr. Verma, of General Dentistry. Dr. Shakib is the president of the Academy of General Dentistry. So let me address that right now because we're in the middle. And this is good because now you're looking at like, this is a wonderful thing. That means we're doing something. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get our organizations to do something. Now I want you to realize who's here. And even though he's not in the room, Dr. Ira Tatunik, who's president-elect of the International College of Dentists, wants to do this program nationwide. And I was with the president of the American Dental Association, who's a Cuban guy, Cesar Sabates. You know him, right? I met with Dr. Sabates, and when the May issue of the ADA News, guess what we had? A whole page on the program that we have, Drug-Free World. You know why? So that all the dentists in the country could get it because it's a free program. It's not to charge you money. It's so that we can save our community. And what's going to happen, what do you think happens when all these people love us? We're going to control a lot of things. I won't tell you what control, but some things that you dentists and I complain about, we'll be able to control. So use your imagination because the people will love you. And they're going to want to be covered. I wonder what that is. And they will demand it. And when they demand it, guess what? It will happen. Because there's some people who work for the people who want to get elected. And guess who will have they're going to love us. Guess who they're going to love? This guy out here. And this woman over here, the quiet one, who's very humble. She's right here. She won't even look at me. She's very humble. They'll love her too. It doesn't matter. You see that? Can you see this? Can you see this? Can you see this? Okay, good. Now, the way we're going to do it is we're going to do it as a group. The last part of the presentation, I will give you that. I want you to get something. 19% drop in teenage drug abuse in New York City in 2016. Is New York City an easy place? No, that's why you see I'm tough up here. New York City has trained me well. New York City, not in Arkansas, not in the middle of some prairie, right? New York City. So does it work? Yes. Okay, now, conclusions on vaping, because we've got to move on, right? I don't want to talk too long. E-cigarettes leave a residue in your lungs, and so it affects your immune system. Now, let me ask you a question. We're in the middle of a crisis, right, where we worry about respiratory problems, right? And we have people, I want to ask you a question. You're probably going to say, oh my God, you're right. I never thought of it. But we have vaping going on. But the vaping is affecting the immune system. And what are we all worried about? Right. Now let me give you this. In high school, I was in high school. I know about you. I did a lot of things that weren't so good sometimes. I was a regular person. In high school, what do you think they do? They have the little vape, and then they get the mask. But what are they doing? They're concentrating the vape even more now. Whoa. Whoa. And they don't know. And why don't they know? Because we, as the doctors, have to educate them. We, as the mothers, have to wake them up. We, as the fathers. Makes sense? Okay. I think I've hit you very hard because the room has gotten very quiet, and I'm going to cry soon. So I have to do something funny. I don't know, maybe I'll take this off and you'll see they have a drug-free world shirt underneath here or something. Okay, I want to show you something. It's okay if I give you something that'll help you feel better? Okay, good. I want you to look at the person next to you. Say hello. Good. Now I want you to look at a person in the other direction. Say hello. Good. Now I want you to look at me. Say hello to me. Hello. You can say hello to me again. Hello. Say hello to me. Now let's do it fast, right? 3 times fast. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Hello. 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 Okay, now, question. You feel worse now or better? You feel worse now or better? Thank you, thank you. Okay, good. All right. That's communication. Why is that? Because when we talk, it's not words. You ever walk into a room and you feel the room? How did you feel the room? Vibrations. We're not getting into that talk today. That's another talk. But I wanted to give it to you. Now, let's go to something important. New England Journal of Medicine. Vaping. If they vape in high school, they do binge drinking. 43% versus 6%. That's a lot, isn't it? If they vape in high school, they will use marijuana 50% versus 7%. If they vape, they're going to have sex 45% versus 14%, and that person may get pregnant, right? And now she's a teenager, and she didn't mean to get pregnant. But that's the vaping. This is a New England Journal of Medicine. This is not an opinion. Okay, now, one thing I didn't tell you, in the flavorings that supposedly are nicotine-free, the Mayo Clinic found something. Guess what they found? In almost all of the packages that were nicotine-free. There was nicotine. There was nicotine. In the packages, they were supposed to be nicotine-free. There was. This is a Mayo Clinic, again. I'm getting you all references, Mayo Clinic. Okay, now we get into marijuana. Remember, we didn't even touch marijuana yet. But you can see that the vaping is causing tremendous number of diseases affecting the brain development. Remember, the nicotine by itself, just the nicotine, is affecting the brain development of youth. Just the nicotine. Nothing else. Did you know that? Okay.
I had no one to help me until I came to drug-free world. They saved me.
I see.
Because I needed a weapon.
Okay.
And as you look up and see what blocker is, then I don't have to ask you anything. You're going to join me. You said, I'm with you. As soon as you look it up, blocker, you'll join me. I don't even have to say anything to you. Because everything that drug-free world is, when he spoke about drugs and marijuana, when you add blocker to it, it makes it 3 times worse. You add blocker to marijuana, 3 times worse. Cocaine, crack, cigarettes, blocker. So that means that a young kid that doesn't know what he's doing and has some blocker and some marijuana, next thing you know, he fights a policeman in the face. Fights a policeman in the face? Goes to school, gets naked, goes to school and pull a gun? Blocker mixed with an opioid. All of a sudden you have a military person committing suicide. So the question that Dr. Ben was asking is, why don't we educate and why don't we know about this? Blocker? 2% of college and high school students are on blocker. Well, it's all right for them to trick us. They're tricking drug people. They're tricking people on drugs. Because here you thought you had some crack cocaine at the social party and it's mixed with blocker, and next thing you know, you've done something that you didn't even want. Excuse me. mean to say my uncle is in a military facility and they mixed some flocka with the opioids and now he can't get out of bed and he committed suicide and no one is educating us on this? So I drew a line because I drew a line. I'll get you. I drew a line because I found out they were bringing flocka to kids in Florida. That means that somebody had to come and stand up. So I got some athletes for Healthy Community and Articles Found and said, let's fight. And then all of a sudden I walked through one day and I saw Dr. Ben in Drug-Free World. Yes.
What's the street name?
Flocka.
Just Flocka?
Flocka.
That's the street name.
That's a street name unless you are in Georgia and it is called Molly.
Right.
Molly.
Different parts of the country.
Yeah.
I've heard
It'll say a lot of things. It'll say Molly. You know, in Georgia, they have Molly Club.
Yes.
A club called Molly, with a t-shirt called Molly, with a DJ called Molly, with a song called Molly, with a mayor of Georgia asking me, but isn't Molly legal? Dr. Ben.
Okay, now here, I want to show you, because you said, well, what can we do? So I want to show you how much fun we have educating. Here we go. And yeah, he's about it.
They got coke, they got smoke, they got pills that would kill, they got ice, they got ecstasy, they got they got flocka. They got friends that'll come and get into your ear and they'll say, man, let's have some speed, let's stay up all night, let's do some sin, let's have some gin. But all you have to do is look them in the eye and say, hey man, that ain't my thing. And you still can be cool, you still can be wild, you still can be fresh, you can be down with all that stuff. All you have to say is, hey man, that ain't my thing. They got coke, they got smoke, they got pills that will kill, they got ice, they got ecstasy, they got this.
So let's talk about now adding some things into the mix, right? CBD and marijuana. So CBD, you've heard that CBD is really good to handle inflammation, right? You can have it for inflammation. It handles your anxiety. And, you can use it for arthritis. If you have Crohn's disease, you hear all these things. Now, in red is the truth from the Mayo Clinic. Let me read you what the Mayo Clinic found. There's little scientific evidence on CBD to substantiate the claims. There's a lot of concern that there's no consistent regulation or oversight on the CBD, on the purity of the CBD, on the safety of the CBD, and whether the CBD contains THC or not, because CBD is not supposed to contain THC. And a recent CBD study showed that more than 25% of them contained levels of CBD that were different than what was labeled. Now, why is CBD important to know as a dentist? CBD interferes with the liver enzymes. And we all know as doctors that the liver is where you metabolize your drugs. Why is this important? Because if you're going to give a sedative and now it's not being broken down because the person's on CBD, they can pass out. They can have respiratory problems. How about if they take Tylenol? Because you did an extraction, you did a surgical procedure. Let's say you did a third molar and they're having pain. And they didn't tell you, and you don't have CBD on your medical questionnaire, or maybe you do, but you forgot to ask. Or they said no to lie to you. And they taking CBD. So now, you did an extraction and you gave them Tylenol, or you gave them Tylenol 3 or Vicodin ES, right? And they're taking acetaminophen. Acetaminophen is broken down in the liver. So now the acetaminophen and the CBD, if they're taken over a period of time, you can start developing a liver problem. Because sometimes you do an extraction and they have pain for a week. They may be taking Tylenol for a week. You may be thinking, well, this is good because they're not on opioids, which is true. They're not on opioids. But if they're on CBD, now you have something else to worry about. But where do you hear this anywhere? You don't. You don't. But now you do. Okay, now, let's say that you're doing a surgery and they're on CBD and the person is taking an anticoagulant. Sometimes my physician, who is I'm working with, doesn't want me to stop the anticoagulant, with Plavix especially, because they're concerned for the patient's cardiovascular system of the heart. Sometimes I do implants and I don't stop the anticoagulant, the Plavix. They do fine, but let's say they're taking CBD. Now you potentiate the warfarin or the clopidogrel, the Plavix, and they get bleeding. And you and the physician don't know why. Well, now you know why, because you've been in this presentation, and you know that the CBD affected the liver. And so now you have to be careful. So now when you go back to your practice, you're going to be cautious with people, and you're going to ask them, do you take CBD? And they may look, well, why? And you say, well, because we're going to do an extraction and you may bleed. I want to know. Or if I want to know what analgesic to give you. Maybe you may give them Motrin, even though normally maybe you don't want to give Motrin because it may cause bleeding, but maybe it's the opposite now. You see this? So that's CBD. Now, let me give you something that you probably haven't heard anywhere. CBD and THC have very similar structures. They're on the screen. You see them? And guess what happens in an acidic environment? In an acidic environment, the CBD, that little valence bond that you see on the bottom left of both of them, closes, and the CBD becomes THC. And you've heard of some people who are taking CBD, and they say, you know, I don't know why, but I feel high. But it's CBD. I'm not supposed to feel high. You follow this? Well, in an acidic environment, the CBD can transform into THC. And there's some controversy back and forth, but I've started to educate you. So now you're probably saying, well, but is there really controversy? Or is somebody trying to just sell CBD and hide like they did with the vaping? Do you follow me? This is why the physicians and the dentists and the health practitioners were so important. Because we have to know. We have to educate the people, not the reverse. We're the ones in charge. And our dental schools, our medical schools, our organization, you follow this. So we don't have to worry. We're going to be working together. There's a lot to know. Now, let me go to the next thing. This is from a study in Amsterdam Genetics. Under acidic conditions, CBD converts to THC and even other cannabinoids. The scientists call this isomerization. Now, CBD is not supposed to show up on a test. But guess what? Sometimes it does. But now you know why. Because the CBD is getting transformed into THC, and now it's showing up on a test, even though the person maybe didn't even realize. And if he is unlucky and maybe gets stopped by the police for something, he could, even though he's not doing recreational marijuana in a state where it's illegal, but he could have that happen. Now, the FDA has come out and said that there's really no long-term studies on CBD, on the safety, on how long you can take it, on what dosage. Now you're also realizing on the interactions because the CBD affects the liver. This is the FDA. So the FDA has only approved 2 uses for CBD. One is for epilepsy and one is for nausea and vomiting, basically of cancer. So we're not going to use this in dentistry, but then you wonder, well, but what about all these products that they're selling? And all of these people using CBD across the whole country. And last thing is dentists, CBD has not been approved for any dental use. So if you have a patient using it or somebody using it as a dentist for TMJ, they're out in left field because it's not approved. It's not approved. The ADA has not approved CBD for any dental usage. And it's not supposed to be even marketed by the FDA. But you know what it is because you go online and you can see it. So, okay, there you go. Now, this system, by the way, can you still hear me when I go here?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I just break up the monotony. Otherwise, I'm in one place. It's good to do this, but then you see things change. I like doing this. Because then it makes you, I'm like you, and I can look up there and see who's going to do all the work because, you know, I want to just chill out. I'll get Dr. Verma to go over. You see, it's just a change in position. You see that? But I want you to experience it. So what happens is we have a system in our bodies. It's like that's why you're smiling. It's called this is the endocannabinoid system. You see what's happening? Why? Because when I got near her, it's like a pleasure moment. Because she's having a good time with me. She says, the Cubans are okay. And she's laughing, you see? She didn't need dopamine from an external source. She didn't need to have nicotine. Dr. Beamer over there, she's like trying to be serious. But she's not going to last too long. There you go. And there you go. She had her own dopamine release. You know that. You're from India, so you guys, you're spiritual. His wife, you've been laying down on the job. I'm upset with you. What kind of karma is this you're doing? The Indians got to wake up. What's going on? What happened? Oh, it's not loud enough. Okay, I don't know. Okay, so let me go back. I'm getting recorded. So the endocannabinoid system is a normal system. There's nothing wrong with dopamine. You know, people say, dopamine, oh. No, it's endogenous. It's in our body. There's nothing wrong with it. The body secretes its own dopamine, you know. But what happens? You're doing it because you did something you liked. You had a kid. Or your son did good in school. Or your boyfriend, you look like you have a boyfriend. Your boyfriend gave you flowers, right? What happened? You in green. When your boyfriend or your husband, you have a husband? When your husband gives you flowers, how do you feel? Great, right? Don't you smile? That's the endocannabinoid system. Now, let's go over something. Because now we know. Those things you're not responsible for, you lose. We think that medicine is different than marriage or our relationship. I like to make things real. It's more fun. But the body is just like a relationship. If you don't take care of it, the body says, oh, forget you. You know, forget you. What's this? So that's the endocannabinoid system. And it has different receptors. I want to make this fun. We don't, in histology, I had this Argentinian guy, and the histiocytes and the blastocytes, when the reticulum, the Golgi body, by the time he finished, all the dental students, we all had a 3.7 cum. We were like, what the hell did he say? Because he gave us so many confusions. I said, well, what is that supposed to be higher learning, getting confused? So I'll make it simple. We have CB1 and CB2 receptors all over the body. The reason you're getting high on marijuana is because it affects the CB1 basically, but THC likes to enhance both of them. And what is CBD2? CBD mostly is 2, but it also depresses both of them. You follow? That's why CBD kind of is anti-inflammatory to a degree, and THC is euphoria, you see? And that's in the endocannabinoid system. Now, the problem is with medical marijuana is that medical marijuana was studied, right? And you know it's been utilized across the country. But let me show you something. 90% of medical marijuana in the United States, now remember, this is supposed to be just for therapeutic purposes. 90% of medical marijuana has high levels of THC. Now, if somebody's dying of cancer, I'm a nice guy. Okay. I would even give them the THC directly. That's okay. But they're dying of cancer, right? Somebody who's got some fatal disease, okay, I understand. When we're talking about other people who are going in for their back or some other problem, we don't want to make these people like sick. So, but that's what's happening. We don't want to make them addicted. But the majority of medical marijuana in the United States contains about 15% THC. Let's talk about some things on pain relief, because supposedly marijuana is for pain relief, right? Let me give you the scientific facts. Read this along with me on what I put up there. Recent long-term studies are not encouraging on marijuana chronic cancer pain relief. But wait a second, I thought we were giving it for pain relief. No. Literature shows that oral cannabinoids, which is marijuana, have inadequate efficacy in rheumatological pain problems. Doesn't work for that either. Oh, well, hold on, let me keep going. Oral marijuana does not reduce acute postoperative or chronic abdominal pain. My God, what's going on? But I heard that it was supposed to. It doesn't make any sense. This is from Journal of Pharmacology, 2018. Scientific journal. Gosh. We doing okay? Okay, now, those things you see up on the screen are different devices for smoking marijuana. That one on the upper left is a special device to smoke it, and guess what level of marijuana that increases it to? Anybody? Evilise, what do you think the level gets to? How much THC? 100? 70? How about here? From the front row. How much? Any guess? Anything, don't worry. You won't get graded. 60? 50? Okay. Who said 100? Okay. You already got a basketball. It increases it to approximately 85 to 90% THC. But I told you that my friend in high school did 3 and was addicted. So what the studies show that when you get to those high levels, you get psychosis and neurosis. The people are going insane. And that's what they're smoking. Now, let me go really quick. Healthy Kids Colorado survey. I want you to get this. 32% of youth drove a vehicle after using marijuana. More than half of those high school students used marijuana. And they reported that they did it, and you're reading there, it says they dab marijuana. You know what dabbing marijuana means? They've used that device I showed you. They used that thing to heat it up. So that means that more than 50% of high school students who were driving on 90% THC. Whoa. You wonder why traffic accidents are a problem. I wonder what these guys in the subway in New York City are doing. Probably nothing, they're just angry. It's just happening for no reason. Has nothing to do with marijuana. No, that's going to increase the economy. And we're going to do really good. We'll collect more taxes, Tax base is important to get more taxes. It doesn't affect anybody adversely. So let me go real quick. First, before we get to that, but I'm going to answer that immediately. Marijuana has been shown to increase the risk of opioid misuse. But why did we start prescription control? To stop opioid abuse, right? Isn't that what we did dentistry about 5 years ago? So let me read you something, because as dentists, we were good people. And we have a great person here, Mayor Cross, right? Stand up.
Mayor, right here, she's a mayor.
And she's a mayor, and she's one of the good guys. So she's going to get the heads on straight on the other ones. Maybe she'll get elected president of the United States now. And then she can make me Secretary of Health and Welfare. I'd love it. And it'll happen. And then I can talk on TV, and we'll do sports all over the country. So here we go. Now, marijuana has been shown to increase the risk of opioid misuse. Now, you may say, come on, Dr. Fialkoff. That's what we say. Where do you get this, Dr. Fialkoff? From the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. But I want to ask you a question. Why are we bothering to control opioids as dentists? Is that we're legalizing marijuana all over the country. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. And now, but I guess it's a good reason, because marijuana's use is linked to social anxiety, depression, suicide, and schizophrenia. But if we have all of that, and I don't really care, I could just talk about it all day, couldn't I? And we're going to control, depression and anxiety. Well, good. Just don't legalize it, and have somebody educate, like Mr. Hunter, and or Mayor Cross. Or who's this nice guy in the front here? You got a whole suitcase. Where are you from? From Queens. Wow. Okay. All right, so now, you asked me something very important. So I want to get to it. I want to get to it right away. But I want to give you something before I get to it, because you said, okay, well, and especially for kids or young people, they say, yeah, but I want to get high. And if I don't take the marijuana, I'm not feeling good, right? They tell you that. I want to get high. It's good. Mom, you're like, or sis, you're like old school, you know. You don't know. It's natural, you know. It grows in the ground. It's natural. Opioids grow in the ground, too. I mean, opium, that's it grows in the ground. That's how the English took to China. That's why the Chinese are so upset with the world, because the English came, they did opium into China and tried to take China. Of course they're going to be upset. I mean, if somebody took your country, wouldn't you be upset too? Yeah. Sure, that's normal. But we don't want to look at that, you know. I look at that. I'm equal opportunity, you know. Nobody wants to get abused, right? Now, so here, the endocannabinoid system. How you stimulate it so you can get high. You can have essential fatty acids. My father always told me, you can have eggs, it's fine. My father's a physician. Eggs, chocolate, but I'm talking about organic chocolate, not the sugary chocolate. So get the 80, 90% organic chocolate, you know. Herbs, my friends back there love herbs, they know about this. Spices, they're back there again. The Indian people are very smart. Walnuts are good, flax seeds are good. Echinacea, turmeric, tea, again, the tea, you know, not coffee. Now, what's bad for it? Pesticides, living on the Long Island Expressway called stress, or in DC, the DC Circle called stress. That's bad for you. Alcohol, no good for you. Negative lifestyle. All these things affect the endocannabinoid system and you feel depressed. Okay, now, let me answer you a question. Now, I'm going to skip these. Basically, if you take marijuana and you're a physician or a hygienist, the patients are not going to get anesthetized as well. Point blank. They're going to have more pain. You're going to give them 2 carpios, they'll still be 2 carpios, or, you know, they're still going to be hurting. Because marijuana affects the anesthesia. Okay? Now, it's not working, doc. Well, marijuana. Dental considerations. Chronic marijuana uses causes gingival inflammation and hyperplasia, causes periodontal disease. You get xerostomia, so your mouth gets dry, so now you have a worse problem as a hygienist because now their mouth is dry. And that poor oral hygiene, well, they're not interested in cleaning their mouth. But on top of it, they're eating all kinds of bad food. Because when you smoke marijuana, you start eating all kinds, you get munchies, right? You get the munchies. And they start eating everything, and then they have xerostomia, dry mouth, and you get caries, periodontal disease. And you also get oxygen deprivation. So let me get into this. And I'll get into this with the surgical considerations that you asked. So if you have oxygen deprivation, oxygen, no-brainer, you put oxygen in the area, go in a hyperbaric chamber, what happens? You heal different diseases, right? That don't heal. But if we're going to go in reverse, and we're going to do apoxia, you're going to have a problem. Surgical considerations. You should cease smoking marijuana, because otherwise you're going to get dry socket. And you're going to have implant failures. I found that in my practice. I had a young girl. She was about 32, very pretty. It was number 12. And I did an implant. And it didn't heal. And I felt horrible. Healed horrible. You know when they heal and they retract and the bone gets exposed, right? And I said, what's going on? She's 32. And I hadn't studied this yet. And then I started studying and I go, oh my God. So next time she came in, I said, by the way, I want to ask you a question. Do you smoke marijuana? She goes, yes, I do, Dr. Fialko. She wasn't upset with me. I want you to get this. It's important. Don't feel like your patients are going to get upset with you. She answered me. Most patients like the dentist. The studies show they like us. You know that, don't you? Do you know that? I'm telling you the truth. Patients like the dentist. They trust us. They really do. I asked her, she answered. And guess what? You're going to this will blow your mind. I said, that's why you heal poorly probably. I was trying to figure out what happened. I feel horrible. And I don't know, I'm afraid to even do another graft because I don't know if you'll heal. or you'll get more recession, right? You've had that, right? You don't want to make it worse. And she's a beautiful girl. I mean, not that a man is not important, but at least the lips are lower. Big guy. A woman is petite. So she got recession. I'm not sexist. I don't want to, I feel bad. So she said, I'll stop. That's it. I'm not doing it anymore. Boom. If it was a guy, maybe I wouldn't believe it, but it was a woman. I'm prejudiced that way. I believe women. I think women are tough. She decided like that. Boom. I'll stop. You see that? But I should have known about this because I would have asked her before I did the implant. I didn't know, you see? But now I'm going to save you because I know general dentists a lot do implants now. I got over that problem 20 years ago when they started doing them. I'm not upset anymore. And, because of periodontist, we went through all this schooling. But it's fine. But make sure they don't smoke marijuana. If you had somebody in your practice and they had a lot of pain, now you know, marijuana. It's not that you're excuse. They have a dry socket, look for marijuana. And you know what? Not just teenager or 20 years old. You can get somebody in the late 40s. They're like they started when it was very popular. I have some friends in my, people in my family. I think they're probably around 50 now. He smokes marijuana. Guess what marijuana also causes? You know who it is, but I'll just tell you. This person had a child. And that child came out pretty much psychotic. And I had suspected certain things, but there were no studies back then. Guess what happens when a mother smokes marijuana? The baby comes out neurotic or psychotic. Yeah, neurotic or psychotic. So here, let's go through this. Why does this happen with marijuana? It reduces the blood supply, and it can reduce the blood supply to the nerve too, so the nerve has more pain. Because if you don't have blood supply, what happens with arthritis? You get calcification. You get calcification, you can't get blood into the area, right? You can't get oxygen into the area. What's going to happen? You're going to get pain. That's why it's such severe pain. So, and I don't want to beat this to death. Let's go on. Go ahead.
I have a question. So, we see delayed or improper healing with both smoking for marijuana and not smoking forms?
Very good question. The smoking is going to be worse, but the marijuana symptoms are marijuana. So the marijuana systemically is going to cause systemically what I'm telling you. The smoking exaggerates it and exacerbates it because now you're heating it, right? So it's hot. So everything that you pyrolyze has a bigger effect, right? Because it's hotter. And also the heat by itself is affecting. But yes, the things that I'm telling you are systemic. So it's not that you're smoking it and having the systemic effects. It's that you're having the marijuana. The other thing, when you're eating the marijuana, you can get very high levels because now it's in this edible and the level can be very high. The higher the level of the THC, the more the systemic effect. Let me go into this. I'll show you now here. Cannabis, marijuana can affect the cardiac muscles. Now, you realize that the smoke marijuana, to answer your question, the smoke is not reaching the heart. How's it getting there? Systemically. So the marijuana chemical itself is what's reaching. You follow that? And it's affecting, remember, it's affecting a system, the endocannabinoid system, that's supposed to regulate the whole body. So let me show you, let me just give you some things. You have to, and you asked me this question, you have to be careful when you use local anesthesia with epinephrine for a patient using marijuana because it impacts the central nervous system, and 46% of the dentists found that they needed more anesthesia. And cannabis affects the muscles of the heart, so the muscles of the heart end up requiring more oxygen. But now, and then you're telling me, well, what, Dr. Fialkoff? Hold on a second. Now you're telling me it's affecting the heart, but I'm going to have to get more local with epinephrine. Yes. You see that? So are you going to have the potential with somebody who's cardiac labeled to have a problem? Obviously. Obviously. Okay. And respiratory systems of cannabis are complicated also by anxiety and the carbon monoxide from the smoking. Why the anxiety? Because the anxiety changes the person's breathing pattern. And if the person breathes too, then what happens, you blow off too much CO2. And something that I learned the other day from a very prominent figure, when you blow off CO2, hemoglobin doesn't use the oxygen as efficiently. So now what's happening? Now you're exacerbating again. That's from the anxiety. And marijuana causes anxiety. Now, general anesthesia. Marijuana potentiates cardiac arrhythmias and respiratory depression. So it's recommended to cease marijuana 72 hours before. But I mean, okay, 72 hours before because you're doing a procedure. But how about their lifetime, their health? Everything else we're going to forget about because I guess after we do the surgery, it's not important anymore. I'm being facetious, right? I'm being, making a point. Depression. When people are taking benzodiazepines or Valium, right, or taking Librium or alcohol or antihistamines because they have allergies, well, it's all enhanced by the marijuana. So now if you give them something that's a relaxant, the effect is enhanced. Strong evidence supports an increased risk for psychosis and panic attacks because of the THC. Okay, now here, let me go really quick. I want to get to this. This is from the National Institute of Health. What happened here? Yeah, okay, here. There it is. National Institute of Health. Pregnant women. Women who use marijuana during pregnancy were more likely to have children with social problems, impulsivity, and attention problems. What are we giving for attention deficit disorder? Ritalin. But this person had the problem because of what reason? Because the mom smoked marijuana. Maybe if the mom didn't smoke marijuana and somebody would educated her, like I did the lady in my office, right? She probably would have said, oh, my baby, that's it, I don't smoke marijuana. Boom. She probably would stop. And if she stopped, that baby, that kid, wouldn't have attention deficit disorder. I was talking to someone here the other day, Dr. Moeller, and he's really big on myofunctional therapy and sleep apnea. And he told me some things that blew my mind. Because he explained to me that if a child doesn't have his normal sucking of the breast when they're young, their oral anatomy develops different. Their myofunctional therapy, reflexes are different. So they don't develop the palate the same way. The tongue doesn't develop the same way. And he was explaining to me, because of all of this and the lack of oxygenation that has nothing to do with the milk and the antibodies, the lack of that reflex, that kid now will develop problems the rest of their life. And their brain will not develop the same because they have oxygen deprivation since they were little. You see that? It's like a whole, isn't that amazing? It's a whole cascade. So the National Institute of Health said that prenatal cannabis exposure is associated with greater risk for psychopathology during middle childhood. So when you see these kids, middle childhood is when you're seeing these kids running around with ADHD, right? There you go. Okay, any questions so far? Go ahead.
Another question. So the Academy of General Dentistry, are they going to put out something where, I think most medical questionnaires.
Do I answer that? Use your audio? You want to answer? He said,
Let him speak.
yeah. Why don't you answer it?
Yeah. Come on. No one's heard you.
What I would say is this. The reason we're here is, let me put this. All of this, you guys are pioneers. I don't know if you realize that. You're pioneers in this room. How many of you think that every dentist in this convention center should have been in this meeting? Every one of them. And every one should have been. They should have been promoted. I should have been in a room so I could speak to every single dentist in this convention center. Because even with 10,000, it's not enough. You're totally right, wherever she was, she left. Even with 10,000, it's a good beginning. So, but we have to realize that we're pioneers. So to answer your questions, we need to get everyone to wake up, and we need to do one thing: stop criticizing and start working together. Dr. Shakib, who's president of the AGD New York, Dr. Verma, who's past president of AGD, myself, Mr. Hunter, we're working together. Let's stop something that's too prevalent in the society. Let's stop beating each other up, right? Is that okay? How many agree? Okay, let's start working with each other. There are, how many people on the planet? 8 billion? 7 billion? How many? 8 billion. So you know what? There's 8 billion.
I want to thank everybody for coming to this year's Greater New York Dental Meeting. Not only was it a great meeting, but as you realize from Zoom, there's nothing like getting live attention from your speakers. You can ask the questions, you can get the content, and you can really identify with what their message is all about. And we hope this continues. We thank you, Bernie, for setting this up. It was a beautiful meeting, and we thank all of you for attending. It was just a great year. Thank you so much.
Thank the Greater New York Dental Meeting Executive Council.
Yes.
You guys did a great job.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And then here, he's very humble, but I'm going to pull him up here, even though he went to sit down. And I want to bring this Globetrotter up here because it's his ball, and he is going to present the ball of the Greater New York Dental Meeting because, here we go, Robert Hunter, he's a Globetrotter. He played with Curly Neal. He played with Meadowlark Lemon. He played with Wilt Chamberlain. He played for the Harlem Globetrotters that a long time ago brought peace and humanity to the whole world. And so he's an unbelievable guy. He's been here all week speaking to the people, and it's appropriate. You know, he's my buddy, but he deserves this moment. He's going to present this award from the Harlem Globetrotters and his group, Art Against Violence, to the Greater New York Dental Meeting. Here you go.
Don't pick up a gun, pick up a brush. I'd like to thank you so very much for this occasion here, and the ability to educate people and for people to come together. And for everyone here, we'd like to give you a special thanks for the ice cream.
The ice cream.
This ball is for you.
I love you, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, man.
We're all together. We're all in this world together. We got to make it a better world. And you know what? With Bernie's help, Bobby's help, and all these people's helps, we got to keep going forward because we got a lot of adversities. But if we don't stick together, we're never going to make it happen. So don't give up, and let's just all keep it going.
Okay.
Bernie, again, thank
All
you
right.
for your message.
You are
Thank
welcome.
you.
They tell them that you take this one and you're gonna feel much better. But if the children know what this drug is, they will never take it. So I'm going to give you some names. But the starting point comes that they take a small amount, which works like a speed up. Marijuana, you have just now heard all the effects it does. Then there are the inhalants. One of them is, which happens in dental offices, the misuse of the nitrous oxide gas. And nitrous oxide gas also can give you brain swelling, insomnia, those who take on a habitual basis. So the how we can actually try to improve whatever we are doing in the cessation of the drugs. So it is the education. The education is that once we tell them what the effect is, and tell them that this because it affects the brain, there is a violence which they can get involved, and even at home, they can notice, because most of the time, children, they get involved with the drugs because the parents take the drug. So there is a saying, charity begins from home. So make sure as a parent, we do not take drugs, because even if we are taking it by not showing to the children. You are trying to take it and hiding from them, but the children are very smart. They are going to find out, and they get into the habit of taking the drugs. But it's going to happen by the efforts of each and every one. We can ask our legislatures that we can have the war on drug by putting all the bad effects. Drug kills you, like some kind of a sign. And you're going to go on billboards, television, radio, social media. We can, and this could be shown on a regular basis to the school children. Even I would suggest there could be a movie made on the misuse of the drugs, and it should be shown to every school children. And there is a need of funding from starting from the federal government to the state to the local government to have some programs. Whatever we have is not enough because the number of the drug users, especially in the school children, are increasing. We should make a point that wherever we go, we try to talk about the drug kills you. And thank you very much for listening. Do anybody have any question? No? Okay. Now I would like Dr. Shine to give few words. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Verma. This concludes the presentation for today's CE course. Please make sure there's a signing sheet outside. Sign your first name, last name, and provide your email address, and you will receive a certificate of attendance. I want to thank Dr. Verma for his amazing presentation. Also, I want to thank Dr. Fialkoff and Greater New York Dental Meeting for all the collaborations, New York State Academy of General Dentistry. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being the voice of the Academy. And I want to also thank Ms. Paula Bostic, our Executive Director at New York State Academy of General Dentistry. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you.